No one heard me play the wrong song by accident at the start, right? Like, the stream hadn't actually loaded by that point, right? That took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to work out how to switch to the correct song. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Hello Bob, hello Murder Chicken, good evening. It's 2 AM. It's a Sunday. Oh god, this is kind of a bad idea. Why am I doing this on a Sunday night? People have work tomorrow. Sorry. If you've got work tomorrow, please please sleep. My apologies for having impulses to stream at only the most inconvenient times. You're welcome. Yeah, good evening. Hi. I have brainworms, so I thought I would read. I don't know if that's supposed to cure me of brainworms, but you know, I don't think it can make it worse, so... Although, I'm folded up pretty awkwardly on my chair, actually. How's the volume? Can you hear the music, or is it too quiet? Okay, I need to shift. My chair's probably gonna make a horrible noise right now. Don't mind it. Thank you, chair, for your audible creaking. How are we doing? How was everyone's weekend? I say that, but I mean, I only streamed on Saturday. I hope everyone had a good week. It's nearly the end of February. It's nearly... wait, is it spring now? Is it like officially... Hold on. When does spring start? Oh no, okay, it's still a month away. Damn. It's Sunday night. I'm sorry for streaming on an awkward night. if you need to go and sleep, please do. But hello Sir Kid. Listen, I do as the brainworms command, and the brainworms say they came to me with a choice, like a vision. They said you can either space out for hours, you can be Menhara or you can stream. And I was like, I'll stream. I'll stream, I'll take it. Being a stream came back having work tomorrow. Okay, that's fair. I was just worried that you would have to sleep and well, maybe you still do need to sleep instead of watch stream, but I hope work doesn't go too badly tomorrow. I hope it's stress free. I hope all the competent people are in tomorrow. It's fortunate my own brain. Oh no. I mean, man, I wish that was me actually. I wish I just didn't have enough like thoughts for the brain worms to feed on. But instead I have many thoughts. All of the time. I've exclusively spaced out today. Okay, you know what? I'm handshake emojiing in all of yours directions. I spaced out for like an hour, like literally an hour and a half ago. And then I snapped out of it and I was like, I should stream. And now I'm here. I guess. Oh wait, hold on, I need to open up Twitch just in case anyone gets shadow banned by YouTube again today. We love all my various chats and some. It's interesting to me how some chats, both Twitch and YouTube, just seem to occasionally pick on people and just do not let me read anything. It's like, thank you, that's helpful. No. Okay, I have that open now. I've been real brainworm bad. Not in like in a nice, like, normal way. But it's fine. I'll get better. Something, take my meds. I accidentally slept. I didn't sleep at all, Saturday night. Because I was too busy being mentally ill. And so I didn't sleep until after noon. And then I woke up at 10 PM. So now my sleep schedule is completely out of the window. Is there a nice normal way to be brainworm bad? Yeah. It's, you know, when like I think some poets are capable of it. You know, they get brainworms and they're like, I'm going to turn this. Actually, I think some artists in general, like a very specific kind of artist, they have the ability to channel all their bad thoughts and brainworms into beautiful. You don't know enough about poets then? Okay, I don't know enough about poets. I don't really know poetry at all, actually. So from 7 PM PST to, I mean, 12 hours and a half. That's not bad. Also, hello Para, good morning. They cope more with drugs than anything else? Man, maybe that's what I need to try. Just kidding, I would not do that. And also too expensive, I wouldn't do that. No, don't flush emoji at me. No, sorry. I will not be taking the drugs other than my doctor prescribed medication. Thank you. And the occasional ibuprofen when I have a headache. But yeah, I do want to do a little bit of reading today. Probably only one chapter. We're actually only one chapter away from the end of part 1 of this book, so it would be nice if I could finish part 1 today. Man, I still can't believe I told that person. Someone asked like, oh, when do you think you're gonna finish 1984? And I was like, oh, November. Yeah, sorry about that. Maybe June? 22 November 2024, real. No, I hope it doesn't take me that long. Although I don't really know what to read next. I recently, actually for Christmas, my mum bought me an anthology of short stories by Neil Gaiman. I don't know if they're like horror stories or just normal stories. I haven't actually flicked through, but I'll probably read a couple of them once I finish 1984 before I work out what I want to read next as like my next big book. Because I think the other book I have right now... Sorry, I'm looking at my shelf. I mean, I bought War of the Worlds, but I'm not sure I want to read something older, like, again. Like, I feel like I want to break it up. I want to do something more modern before I go back to, like, slightly older literature. All the kids are reading, and when I say kids, I mean adults. Just so many people are into this series called The Locked Tomb. Is it a book? Is it a podcast? I don't know. But like I see so much about it, and I see so many people talking about it, and I'm like, what is this? Apparently there's necromancy, and there's people that paint skulls on their faces. I guess. I don't. The brief glimpses into it that I've seen, it seems wildly popular, which I haven't seen for a book in, like, I don't remember the last time I heard about a book being popular other than, like, when I was, like, 5. I mean, like, a newly published book, obviously. Like, there's popular books like, you know, Lord of the Rings and the Tales of the Chronicles of Narnia and stuff, but never heard of it? Okay. Yeah, no, for some reason I just get a disproportionate amount of stuff about the Locked Tomb, and that's why I thought it was a podcast, because I know a lot of people are into, like, podcasts. I can't personally... This feels ironic, given that technically my stream kind of functions as a podcast of book reading. But I've never been able to get into podcasts. I think it's because I lack the I can't see things in my head. Like, I can't podcast. I can't, like, if someone says the view of the ocean was beautiful, splattered oranges and yellows, dappled like a blah 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 blah. Like, that doesn't... I can't see that. Other people are like, wow, I see it in my mind. I'm like, I know what the colour orange is, and I know what the colour yellow is, and I know what sunset is. Yeah. Lacking the pod, I am. So yeah, never got into it, even though I've heard many good things about many podcasts, and then I've completely forgotten about all of them. Is it the Magnus something? People got really obsessed with that for a while. The Magnus Files? No, I don't know. I don't know anything. I feel very out of the loop when it comes to media and all of my friends. Autumn reads a lot. As in Autumn and Sia Shalane. I mean, I know they do reading streams as well. But they actually like read as like a hobby outside of streams. Magnus Magnusson from Mastermind? Isn't that a quiz show? Isn't that a quiz show? I didn't realize that had a main character. The Magnus Archives! The Magnus Archives. There it is. That's the one that people seem to be pretty crazy about. Yes, really? Is that like the name of the presenter or something? Like I just thought it was like a trivia show. I don't watch a lot of TV. Can you tell? Can you tell? TV. I think TV. No, it's fine. I just don't watch it. And when I do watch it, it's against my own will, and mostly because my nana is watching some kind of murder mystery stuff from the anywhere between the 60s and the 80s. TV has ads, don't watch. I mean, what doesn't have ads? The outside world has ads, billboards. The internet has ads. Oh god, so many ads. We're never free. You have to deafen and blind yourself, and then I think I can use uBlock on. Even then, sometimes I feel like obviously that avoids a lot of the generic ads. But sometimes like websites host ads themselves, and so they don't kind of get caught by the same parameters, and you have to like manually do it yourself. That's why it's dying. I thought TV was dying because all the TV shows are getting separated into different subscription packages like Netflix and Hulu and stuff, and then they're all raising their prices and no one wants to buy all of them, and so everyone's just pirating again. I thought that's why TV was dying. Is it really though if you don't want to? All devices dodge ads, even in content ads? Really? I don't run into many ads on the internet anymore on my PC. On my phone I still do, because I just can't be bothered to work out ad block on my phone. I don't use it enough for that. My phone is a machine that plays mobile games. But no, I haven't got a Twitch ad in a very long time actually. I'm very happy about that. My ad block for Twitch has been working nicely. Which is good because Twitch ads suck. They're always weird. It's like, ah yes, what is this nonsense before my streamer? It's annoying because I just want to watch the streamer sometimes, but it's fine because that doesn't bother me anymore because I don't see ads. What I do get sometimes is a bit of lag. If someone has so you know there's two different types of ads. You've got like the pre-roll ads, and then you've got the ads that like constantly roll like every like 20 minutes or so. The ones that run every 20 minutes, every time those happen, so the ad gets blocked, but I end up like getting buffering for like a bit, and then I end up like lagged behind in the VOD unless I in the stream unless I refresh. So either I have to tolerate being behind, which is fine when I'm lurking, or I have to refresh every 20 minutes, which is just kind of like, I mean, it's not that bad, but it's like, come on. Your TTSL needs premium? Hmm? Needs premium? What do you mean? I wonder... I have heard that apparently people monetized on YouTube, some of them get free YouTube premium. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard things. It's a free, has limited connections thing? I'm trying to tilt my head, but I can only tilt my head so far. I need the ability, you know, when animals see something they don't understand, and so they turn their heads to like a 90-degree angle. I need to learn how to do that. I'm confused. Okay, I should read. So, apologies for this being on a Sunday night. Unless this is better for you on a Sunday night, in which case you're welcome. That was totally planned, totally on purpose. But if you're trying to get some sleep, I hope you sleep well. If you need a drink, get something to drink. If you need something to eat, get some snacks, get some food. If you're still at work or studying, I hope it goes well and with as little stress as possible. And if I need to adjust the volume or anything at any time, please do let me know and I will fix it. Okay. Chapter 8. From somewhere at the bottom of a passage, the smell of roasting coffee, real coffee, not Victory coffee, came floating out into the street. Winston paused involuntarily. For perhaps 2 seconds, he was back in the half-forgotten world of his childhood. Then a door banged, seeming to cut off the smell as abruptly as though it had been a sound. He had walked several kilometres over pavements, and his varicose also was throbbing. This was the second time in 3 weeks that he had missed an evening at the community centre. A rash act, since you could be certain that the number of your attendees at the centre was carefully checked. In principle, a party member had no spare time, and was never alone except in bed. It was assumed that when he was not working, eating, or sleeping, he would be taking part in some kind of communal recreation. To do anything that suggested a taste for solitude, even to go for a walk by yourself, was always slightly dangerous. There was a word for it in Newspeak. Own life, it was called, meaning individualism and eccentricity. But this evening he had came out of the ministry. The balminess of the April air had tempted him. The sky was a warmer blue than he had seen it that year. Then suddenly the long, noisy evening at the centre, the boring, exhausting games, the lectures, the creaking camaraderie oiled by gin, had seemed intolerable. On impulse, he had turned away from the bus stop and wandered off into the labyrinth of London, first south, then east, then north again, losing himself among unknown streets and hardly bothering in which direction he was going. If there is hope, he had written in the diary, it lies in the prose. The words kept coming back to him, statement of a mystical truth and a palpable absurdity. He was somewhere in the vague, brown-coloured slums to the north and east of what had once been St. Pancras Station. He was walking up a cobbled street of little 2-storey houses with battered doorways, which gave straight onto the pavement, and which was somehow curiously suggestive of rat holes. There were puddles of filthy water here and there among the cobbles. In and out of the dark doorways, and down narrow alleyways that branched off on either side, people swarmed in astonishing numbers. Girls in full bloom, with crudely lipsticked mouths, and youths who chased the girls, and swollen waddling women who showed you what the girls would be like in 10 years' time, and old bent creatures shuffling along on splayed feet, and ragged barefooted children who played in the puddles and then scattered at angry yells from their mothers. Perhaps a quarter of the windows in the street were broken and boarded up. Most of the people paid no attention to Winston. A few eyed him with a sort of guarded curiosity. 2 monstrous women with brick-red forearms folded across their aprons were talking outside a doorway. Winston caught scraps of conversation as he approached. "Yes," I says to her, "that's all very well," I says, "but if you'd have been in my place, you'd have done the same as what I'd done." "It's easy to criticise," I says, "but you ain't got the same problems as what I's got." "Ah," said the other, "that's just it. That's just where it is." The strident voices stopped abruptly. The women studied him in hostile silence as he went past. But it was not hostility exactly, merely a kind of wariness, a momentary stiffening, as if the passing of some unfamiliar animal. The blue overalls of the party could not be a common sight in a place like this. Indeed, it was unwise to be seen in such places, unless you had definite business there. The patrols might stop you if you happened to run into them. "May I see your papers, comrade? What are you doing here? What time did you leave work? Is this your usual way home?" And so on and so forth. Not that there was any rule against walking home by an unusual route, but it was enough to draw attention to you if the thought police heard about it. Suddenly the whole street was in commotion. There were yells of warnings from all sides. People were shooting into the doorways like rabbits. A young woman leapt out of a doorway a little ahead of Winston, grabbed up a tiny child playing in a puddle, whipped her apron around it, and leapt back again, all in one movement. At the same instant, a man in a concertine-like black suit, who had emerged from a side alley, ran towards Winston, pointing excitedly to the sky. "Steamer!" he yelled. "Look out, governor! Bang overhead! Lay down, quick!" Steamer was a nickname which, for some reason, the proles applied to rocket bombs. Winston promptly flung himself on his face. The proles were nearly always right when they gave you a warning of this kind. They seemed to possess some kind of instinct which told them several seconds in advance when a rocket was coming, although rockets supposedly travelled faster than sound. Winston clasped his forearms above his head. There was a roar that seemed to make the pavement heave. A shower of light objects pattered onto his back. When he stood up, he found that he was covered with fragments of glass from the nearest window. He walked on. The bomb had demolished a group of houses 200 meters up the street. A black plume of smoke hung in the sky, and below it a cloud of plaster dust in which a crowd was already forming round the ruins. There was a little pile of plaster lying in the pavement ahead of him, and in the middle of it he could see a bright red streak. When he got up to it, he saw that it was a human hand severed at the wrist. Apart from the bloodied stump, the hand was so completely whitened as to resemble a plaster cast. He kicked the thing into the gutter, and then, to avoid the crowd, turned down a side street to the right. Within 3 or 4 minutes, he was out of the area which the bomb had affected, and the sordid, swarming life of the streets was going on as though nothing had happened. It was nearly 20 hours, and the drinking shops which the proles frequented, pubs they called them, were choked with customers. From their grimy swing doors, endlessly opening and shutting, there came forth a smell of urine, sawdust, and sour beer. In an angle formed by a projecting house front, 3 men were standing very close together, the middle one of them holding up a folded-up newspaper, which the other 2 were studying over his shoulders. Even before he was near enough to make out the expression on their faces, Winston could see absorption in every line of their bodies. It was obviously some serious piece of news they were reading. He was a few paces away from them when suddenly the group broke up and 2 of the men were in violent altercation. For a moment they seemed almost on the point of blows. "Can't you bleeding well listen to what I say? I tell you no number ending in 7 ain't won for over 14 months. "Yes, it has then." "No, it has not. Back home I got a whole lot of 'em for over 2 years wrote down on a piece of paper. I takes 'em down regular as the clock, and I tell you, no number ending in 7. Yes, a 7 has one. I could pretty near tell you the bleeding number. 407 it ended in. It were in February, 2nd week in February. February, your grandmother. I got it all down in black and white, and I tell you, no number. "They'll pack it in," said the 3rd man. They were talking about the lottery. Winston looked back when he had gone 30 meters. They were still arguing, with vivid, passionate faces. The lottery, with its weekly payout of enormous prizes, was the one public event to which the proles paid serious attention. It was probable that there were some millions of proles for whom the lottery was the principal, if not the only reason for remaining alive. It was their delight, their folly, their anodyne, their intellectual stimulant. Where the lottery was concerned, even people who could barely read and write seemed capable of intricate calculations and staggering feats of memory. There was a whole tribe of men who made a living simply by selling systems, forecasts, and lucky amulets. Winston had nothing to do with the running of the lottery, which was managed by the Ministry of Plenty, but he was aware, indeed everyone in the party was aware, that the prizes were largely imaginary. Only small sums were actually paid out, the winners of the big prizes being non-existent persons. In the absence of any real intercommunication between one part of Oceania and another, this was not difficult to arrange. But if there was hope, it lay in the proles. You had to cling on to that. When you put it in words, it sounded reasonable. It was when you looked at the human beings passing you on the pavement that became an act of faith. The street into which he had turned ran downhill. He had a feeling that he had been in this neighbourhood before, and that there was a main thoroughfare not far away. From somewhere ahead there came a din of shouting voices. The street took a sharp turn, and then ended in a flight of steps which led down into a sunken alley where a few stall-keepers were selling tired-looking vegetables. At this moment, Winston remembered where he was. The alley led out onto the main street, and down the next turning, not 5 minutes away, was a junk shop where he had bought the blank book which was now his diary, and in a small stationer's shop not far away he had bought his penholder and his bottle of ink. He paused for a moment at the top of the steps. On the opposite side of the alley there was a dingy little pub whose windows appeared to be frosted over, but in reality were merely coated with dust. A very old man, bent but active, with white moustaches that bristled forwards like those of a prawn, pushed open the swing door and went in. As Winston stood watching, it occurred to him that the old man, who must be 80 at the least, had already been middle-aged when the revolution happened. He, and a few others like him, were the last links that now existed with the vanished world of capitalism. In the party itself there were not many people left whose ideas had been formed before the revolution. The older generation had been mostly wiped out in the great purges of the 50s and 60s, and the few who survived had long been terrified into complete intellectual surrender. If there was anyone still alive that could give you a truthful account of conditions in the early part of the century, it could only be a prole. Suddenly the passage from the history book that he had copied into his diary came into Winston's mind, and a lunatic impulse took hold of him. He would go into the pub, he would scrape acquaintance with that old man and question him. He would say to him, "Tell me about your life when you were a boy. What was it like in those days? Were things better than they are now? Or were they worse?" Hurriedly, lest he should have time to become frightened, he descended the steps and crossed the narrow street. It was madness, of course. As usual, there was no definite rule against talking to proles and frequenting their pubs, but it was far too unusual an action to pass unnoticed. If the patrols appeared, he might plead an attack of faintness, but it was not likely that they would believe him. He pushed open the door, and a hideous cheesy smell of sour beer hit him in the face. As he entered, the din of voices dropped to about half its volume. Behind his back, he could feel everyone eyeing his blue overalls. A game of darts, which was going on the other side of the room, interrupted itself for perhaps as much as 30 seconds. The old man whom he had followed was standing at the bar, having some kind of altercation with the barman, a large, stout, hook-nosed young man with enormous forearms. A knot of others, standing round with glasses in their hands, watching the scene. "I asked you civil off, didn't I?" said the old man, straightening his shoulders pugnaciously. You telling me you ain't got a pint mug in the old bleeding boozer? And what in hell's name is a pint? Said the barman, leaning forward with the tips of his fingers on the counter. Oh, cat him. Calls himself a bartender and don't know what a pint is. Why, a pint's half a quart and there's 4 quarts to a gallon. I have to teach you the ABC next. Never heard of 'em, said the barman shortly. Litre and half litre, that's all we serve. There's glasses on the shelf in front of you. I likes a pint, persisted the old man. You could have drawed me off a pint easy enough. We didn't have those bleeding litres when I was a young man. When you were a young man, we were all living in the treetops, said the barman, with a glance at the other customers. There was a shout of laughter, and the uneasiness caused by Winston's entry seemed to disappear. The old man's white stubbled face had flushed pink. He turned away, muttering to himself, and bumped into Winston. Winston caught him gently by the arm. "May I offer you a drink?" he said. "You're a gent," said the other, straightening his shoulders again. He appeared not to have noticed Winston's blue overalls. "Pint," he added aggressively to the barman. "Pint of wallop." The barman swished 2 half-litres of dark brown beer into thick glasses which he had rinsed in a bucket under the counter. Beer was the only drink you could get in prole pubs. The proles were not supposed to drink gin, though in practice they could get hold of it easy enough. The game of darts was in full swing again, and the knot of men at the bar had begun talking about lottery tickets. Winston's present was forgotten for a moment. There was a deal table under the window where he and the old man could talk without fear of being overheard. It was horribly dangerous, but at any rate there was no telescreen in the room, a point he had made sure of as soon as he came in. "He could have drawed me off a pint," grumbled the old man as he settled down behind his glass. "A half-litre ain't enough. It don't satisfy. And a whole litre's too much. Starts my bladder running, let alone the price." "You must have seen great changes since you were a young man," said Winston tentatively. The old man's pale blue eyes moved from the darts board to the bar, and from the bar to the drawer of the gents, as though it were in the bar room he expected the changes to have occurred. "The beer was better," he said finally, "and cheaper. When I was a young man, mild beer, wallop we used to call it, was 4p a pint. That was before the war, of course." "Which war was that?" said Winston. "It's all wars," said the old man vaguely. He took up his glass, and his shoulders straightened again. "Here's wishing you the very best of health." In his lean throat the sharp-pointed Adam's apple made a surprisingly rapid up-and-down movement, and the beer vanished. Winston went to the bar and came back with 2 more half-litres. The old man seemed to have forgotten his prejudice against drinking a full litre. "You're very much older than I am," said Winston. "You must have been a grown man before I was born. You can remember what it was like in the old days, before the Revolution. People my age don't really know anything about those times. We can only read about them in books, and what it says in those books may not be true. I should like your opinion on that. The history books say that life before the Revolution was completely different from what it is now, that there was most terrible oppression, injustice, poverty, worse than anything that we can imagine. Here in London the great mass of people never had enough to eat from birth to death. Half of them hadn't even boots on their feet. They worked 12 hours a day, they left school at 9 and slept 10 a room. And at the same time there were very few people, only a few thousands, the capitalists they were called, who were rich and powerful. They owned everything there was to own. They lived in great gorgeous houses with 30 servants. They rode about in motor cars and 4-horse carriages. They drank champagne, they wore top hats. The old man brightened suddenly. "Top hats," he said. "Funny you should mention 'em. The same thing came into my head only yesterday. Dunno why. I was just thinking, I ain't seen a top hat in years. Gone right out, they have. The last time I wore one was at my sister-in-law's funeral. And that was, well, I couldn't give you the date, but it must have been 50 years ago. Of course, it was only eyed for the occasion, you understand." "It wasn't very important about the top hats," said Winston patiently. "The point is, these capitalists, They and a few lawyers and priests and so forth who lived on them were the lords of the earth. Everything existed for their benefit. You, the ordinary people, the workers, were their slaves. They could do what they liked with you. They could ship you off to Canada like cattle. They could sleep with your daughters if they chose. They could order you to be flogged with something called a cat o' nine tails. You had to take your cap off when you passed them. Every capitalist went on about with a gang of lackeys who... The old man brightened again. Lackeys, he said. Now that's a word I ain't heard for ever so long. Lackeys. That regular takes me back, that does. I recollect, donkeys years ago. I used to go to Yede Park of Sunday afternoon to hear the blokes making speeches. Salvation Army, Roman Catholic, Jews, Indians, all sorts there was. And there was one bloke, well, I couldn't give you his name, but a real powerful speaker he was. He didn't give 'em half it. Lackeys, he says. Lackeys of the bourgeois, flunkies of the ruling class. Parasites, that was another one of 'em. And hyenas, he definitely called 'em hyenas. Of course, he was referring to the Labour Party, you understand. Winston had the feeling that they were talking at cross purposes. What I really wanted to know was this, he said. Do you feel like you have more freedom now than you had in those days? Are you treated more like a human being? In the old days, the rich people, the people at the top? The House of Lords, put the old man reminiscently. The House of Lords, if you like. What I'm asking is, were those people able to treat you as inferior simply because they were rich and you were poor? And is it a fact, for instance, that you had to call them sir and take off your cap when you passed them? The old man appeared to think deeply. He drank off about a quarter of his beer before answering. Yes, he said. They liked you to touch your cap to 'em. It showed respect. Like, I didn't agree with it myself, but I'd done it often enough. Had to, as you might say. And was it usual, I'm only quoting what I've read in history books, was it usual for these people and their servants to push you off the pavement into the gutter? One of 'em pushed me once, said the old man. I recollect it as if it were yesterday. It was boat race night. Terrible rowdy they used to get on boat race night. I bumps into a young bloke on Shaftesbury Avenue. Quite the gent he was. Dress shirt, top hat, black overcoat. He was kind of zigzagging across the pavement, and I bumps into him accidental like. He says, why can't you look where you're going, he says. I says, do you think you brought the bleeding pavement? He says, I'll twist your bloody head off if you get fresh with me, I says. You're drunk. I'll give you in charge in half a minute, I says. And if you'll believe me, he puts his hand on my chest and gives me a shove as pretty near sent me onto the wheels of a bus. Well, I was young in them days, and I was gonna have fetched him one, only... A sense of helplessness took hold of Winston. The old man's memory was nothing but a rubbish heap of details. One could question him all day without getting any real information. The party's histories might still be true, after a fashion. They might be completely true. He made a last attempt. Perhaps I have not made myself clear, he said. What I'm trying to say is this. You have been alive for a very long time. You lived half your life before the revolution. In 1925, for instance, you were already grown up. Would you say, from what you can remember, that life in 1925 was better than it is now? Or worse? If you could choose, would you prefer to live then or now? The old man looked meditatively at the darts board. He finished up his beer more slowly than before. When he spoke, it was with a tolerant, philosophic air, as though the beer had mellowed him. I know what you expect me to say, he said. You expect me to say I'd sooner be young again. Most people say they'd sooner be young if you asked them. You got your health and your strength when you're young. When you get to my time of life, you ain't never well. I suffer something wicked from my feet, and my bladder's just terrible. 6 and 7 times a night it has me out of bed. On the other hand, there's great advantages in being an old man. You ain't got the same worries. No truck with women, and that's a great thing. I ain't had a woman for near on 30 years if you credit it. Nor wanted to, what's more. Winston sat back against the windowsill. It was no use going on. He was about to buy some more beer when the old man suddenly got up and shuffled rapidly into the stinking urinal at the side of the room. The extra half-litre was already working on him. Winston sat for a minute or two gazing at his empty glass, and hardly noticed when his feet carried him out onto the street again. Within 20 years at the most, he reflected, the huge and simple question: was life better before the revolution than it is now? Would have ceased once and for all to be answerable. But in effect it was unanswerable even now, since the few scattered survivors from the ancient world were incapable of comparing one age with another. They remembered a million useless things: a quarrel with a workmate, a hunt for a lost bicycle pump, the expression on a long-dead sister's face, the swirls of dust on a windy morning 70 years ago. But all the relevant facts were outside the range of their vision. They were like the ant, which can see small objects, but not large ones. And when memory failed and written records were falsified, when that happened, the claim of the party to have improved the conditions of human life had got to be accepted, because there did not exist, and never again could exist, any standard against it, which it could be tested. At this moment his train of thought stopped abruptly. He halted and looked up. He was in a narrow street, with a few dark little shops interspersed among dwelling houses. Immediately above his head were hung 3 discoloured metal balls which looked as though they had once been gilded. He seemed to know the place. Of course, he was standing outside the junk shop where he had bought the diary. A twinge of fear went through him. It had been a sufficiently rash act to buy the book in the beginning, and he had sworn never to come near the place again. And yet the instant that he allowed his thoughts to wander, his feet had brought him back here, of their own accord. It was precisely against suicidal impulses of this kind that he had hoped to guard himself by opening the diary. At the same time he noticed that although it was nearly 21 hours, the shop was still open. With the feeling that he would be less conspicuous inside than hanging about on the pavement, he stepped through the doorway. If questioned, he could plausibly say that he was trying to buy razor blades. The proprietor had just lighted a hanging oil lamp, which gave off an unclean but friendly smell. He was a man of perhaps 60, frail and bowed, with a long benevolent nose, and mild eyes distorted by thick spectacles. His hair was almost white, but his eyebrows were still bushy and black. His spectacles, his gentle, fussy movements, and the fact that he was wearing an aged jacket of black velvet gave him a vague air of intellectuality, as though he had been some kind of literary man, or perhaps a musician. His voice was soft, as though faded, and his accent less debased than that of the majority of the proles. "I recognized you on the pavement," he said immediately. "You're that gentleman who bought the Young Lady's Keepsake album. That was a beautiful bit of paper, that was. Cream laid, it used to be called. There's been no paper like that made for, no, I dare say 50 years. He peered at Winston over the top of his spectacles. "Is there anything special I can do for you? Or did you just want to look around?" "I was just passing," said Winston vaguely. "I just looked in. I don't want anything in particular." "It's just as well," said the other, "because I don't suppose I could have satisfied you." He made an apologetic gesture with his soft-palmed hand. "You see how it is. An empty shop, you might say. Between you and me, the antique trades have just about finished. No demand any longer, no stock either. Furniture, china, glass, it's all been broken up by degrees. And of course the metal stuff's mostly been melted down. I haven't seen a brass candlestick in years. The tiny interior of the shop was in fact uncomfortably full, but there was nothing in it of slightest value. The floor space was very restricted, because all round the walls were stacked innumerable dusty picture frames. In the window there were trays of nuts and bolts, worn-out chisels, penknives with broken blades, tarnished watches that did not even pretend to be in going order, and other miscellaneous rubbish. Only on a small table in the corner there was a litter of odds and ends, lacquered snuff boxes, agate brooches, and the like, which looked as though they might include something interesting. As Winston wandered towards the table, his eye was caught by a round, smooth thing that gleamed softly in the lamplight, and he picked it up. It was a heavy lump of glass, curved on one side, flat on the other, making almost a hemisphere. There was a peculiar softness, as of rainwater, in both the colour and the texture of the glass. At the heart of it, magnified by the curved surface, there was a strange pink, convoluted object that recalled a rose or a sea anemone. "What is it?" said Winston, fascinated. "That's coral, that is," said the old man. "It must have come from the Indian Ocean. They used to kind of embed it in glass. That wasn't made less than 100 years ago. More by the look of it." "It's a beautiful thing," said Winston. "It is a beautiful thing," said the other appreciatively. "But there's not so many that say so nowadays," he coughed. "Now, if it so happened you wanted to buy it, that'd cost you $4. I can remember when a thing like that would have fetched £8, and £8 was... I can't work it out, but it was a lot of money. But who cares about genuine antiques nowadays, even the few that's left?" Winston immediately paid over the $4 and slid the coveted thing into his pocket. What appealed to him about it was not so much its beauty as the air it seemed to possess of belonging to an age quite different from the present one. The soft, rain-watery glass was not like any glass that he had ever seen. The thing was doubly attractive because of its apparent uselessness, though he could guess that it had been once intended as a paperweight. It was very heavy in his pocket, but fortunately it did not make much of a bulge. It was a queer thing, even a compromising thing, for a party member to have in his possession. Anything old, and for that matter anything beautiful, was always vaguely suspect. The old man had grown noticeably more cheerful after receiving the $4. Winston realized that he would have accepted 3, or even 2. "There's another room upstairs that you might care to take a look at," he said. "There's not much in it, just a few pieces. We'll do with a light if you're going upstairs." He lit another lamp, and, with bowed back, led the way slowly up the steep and worn stairs and along a tiny passage, into a room which did not give on the street, but looked out on a cobbled yard and a forest of chimney pots. Winston noticed that the furniture was still arranged as though the room were meant to be lived in. There was a strip of carpet on the floor, a picture or two on the walls, and a deep, slatternly armchair drawn up to the fireplace. An old-fashioned glass clock with a 12-hour face was ticking away on the mantelpiece. Under the window, and occupying nearly a quarter of the room, was an enormous bed with the mattress still on it. "We lived here till my wife died," said the old man half apologetically. "I'm selling the furniture off little by little. Now that's a beautiful mahogany bed, or at least it would be if you get the bugs out of it, but I dare say you'd find it a little bit cumbersome." He was holding the lamp high up, so as to illuminate the whole room, and in the dim light the place looked curiously inviting. The thought flitted through Winston's mind that it would probably be quite easy to rent the room for a few dollars a week if he dared take the risk. It was a wild, impossible notion, to be abandoned as soon as thought of. the room had awakened in him a sort of nostalgia, a sort of ancestral memory. It seemed to him that he knew exactly what it felt like to sit in a room like this, in an armchair beside an open fire, with your feet in the fender and a kettle on the hob, utterly alone, utterly secure, with no one watching you, no voice pursuing you, no sound except the singing of the kettle and the friendly ticking of the clock. "There's no telescreen," he could not help murmuring. "Nah," said the old man. "I never had one of those things. Too expensive. And I never seemed to feel the need of it, somehow. Now, that's a nice gate leg on the table on the corner there, though of course you'd have to put new hinges on it if you wanted to use the flaps." There was a small bookcase in the other corner, and Winston had already gravitated towards it. It contained nothing but rubbish. The hunting down and destruction of books had been done with the same thoroughness in the prole quarters as everywhere else. It was very unlikely there existed anywhere in Oceania a copy of a book printed earlier than 1960. The old man, still carrying the lamp, was standing in front of a picture in a rosewood frame which hung on the other side of the fireplace, opposite the bed. "Now, if you happen to be interested in old prints at all," he began delicately. Winston came across to examine the picture. It was a steel engraving of an oval building with rectangular windows and a small tower in front. There was a railing running round the building, and at the rear end there was what appeared to be a statue. Winston gazed at it for some moments. It seemed vaguely familiar, though he did not remember the statue. "The frame's fixed to the wall," said the old man, "but I could unscrew it for you, I dare say." "I know that building," said Winston finally. "It's a ruin now. It's in the middle of the street outside the Palace of Justice." "That's right, outside the law courts. It was bombed in, many years ago. It was a church at one time. St. Clement's Dane, its name was." He smiled apologetically, as though conscious of saying something slightly ridiculous, and added, "Oranges and lemons, says the bells of St. Clement's." "What's that?" said Winston. "Oh, oranges and lemons, says the bells of St. Clement's. That was a rhyme we had when I was a little boy. How it goes on I don't remember, but I do know it ended up, 'Here comes a candle to light you to bed, here comes a chopper to chop off your head.' It was a kind of dance. They held out their arms for you to pass under, and when they came to 'Here comes a chopper to chop off the head,' they brought down their arms and caught you." It was just names of churches. All the London churches were in it. All the principal ones, that is. Winston wondered vaguely to what century the church belonged. It was always difficult to determine the age of a London building. Anything large and impressive, even if it was reasonably new in appearance, was automatically acclaimed as being built since the Revolution, while anything that was obviously of early date was ascribed to some dim period called the Middle Ages. The centuries of capitalism were held to have produced nothing of any value. One could not learn history from architecture any more than one could learn it from books. Statues, inscriptions, memorial stones, the names of streets, anything that might throw light upon the past had been systematically altered. "I never knew it had been a church," he said. There's a lot of them left, really," said the old man, "though they've been put to other uses. Now, how did that rhyme go? I've got it. 'Oranges and lemons, says the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 3 farthings, says the bells of St. Martin's.' There, now, that's as far as I can get. A farthing. That was a small copper coin. Looked something like a cent." "Where was St. Martin's?" said Winston. "St. Martin's? That's still standing. It's in Victory Square, alongside the picture gallery. A building with a kind of triangular porch and pillars in front, and a big flight of steps." Winston knew the place well. It was a museum used for propaganda displays of various kinds. Scale models of rocket bombs and floating fortresses, waxwork tableaux and illustrating enemy atrocities and the like. St. Martin's in the Fields, it used to be called, supplemented the old man, though I don't recollect any fields anywhere in those parts. Winston did not buy the picture. It would have been even more incongruous possession than the glass paperweight, and impossible to carry home unless it were taken out of its frame. But he lingered for some minutes more, talking to the old man, whose name he discovered was not Weeks, as one might have gathered from the inscription over the shop front, but Charrington. Mr. Charrington, it seemed, was a widower aged 63, and had inhabited the shop for 30 years. Throughout that time he had been intending to alter the name over the window, but had never quite got to the point of doing it. All the while that they were talking, the half-remembered rhyme kept running through Winston's head. "Oranges and lemons, says the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 3 farthings, says the bells of St. Martin's." It was curious, but when you said it to yourself, you had the illusion of actually hearing the bells of a lost London that still existed somewhere or other, disguised and forgotten. From one ghostly steeple after another, he seemed to hear them pealing forth. Yet so far as he could remember, he had never in real life heard church bells ringing. He got away from Mr. Charrington and went down the stairs alone, so as to not let the old man see him reconnoitring the stairs before stepping out of the door. He had already made up his mind that after a suitable interview, a month, say, he would take the risk of visiting the shop again. It was not more dangerous than shirking an evening at the centre. The more serious piece of folly had been to come back here in the first place, after buying the diary and without knowing whether the proprietor of the shop could be trusted. However, yes, he thought again, he would come back. He would buy further scraps of beautiful rubbish. He would buy the engraving of St. Clement's Dane, take it out of its frame, and carry it home concealed under the jacket of his overalls. He would drag the rest of that poem out of Mr. Charrington's memory. Even the lunatic project of renting the room upstairs flashed momentarily through his mind again. For perhaps 5 seconds exhaustion made him careless, and he stepped out onto the pavement without so much as a preliminary glance through the window. He had even started humming to an improvised tune. "Oranges and lemons, says the bells of St. Clement's. You owe me 3 farthings, say the—" Suddenly his heart seemed to turn to ice and his bowels to water. A figure in blue overalls was coming down the pavement, not 10 meters away. It was the girl from the fiction department, the girl with dark hair. The light was failing, but there was no difficulty in recognizing her. She looked him straight in the face, then walked quickly on, as though she had not seen him. For a few seconds Winston was too paralyzed to move. Then he turned to the right and walked heavily away, not noticing for the moment he was going in the wrong direction. At any rate, one question was settled. There was no doubting any longer that girl was spying on him. She must have followed him here, because it was not credible that by pure chance she would have happened to be walking on the same evening up the same obscure back streets, kilometers distant from any quarter where party members lived. It was too great a coincidence. Whether she was really a spy of the thought police, or perhaps an amateur spy actuated by officiousness, hardly mattered. It was enough that she was watching him. Probably she had seen him go into the pub as well. It was an effort to walk. The lump of glass in his pocket banged against his thigh at each step, and he was half-minded to take it out and throw it away. The worst thing was the pain in his belly. For a few minutes he had the feeling that he would die if he did not reach a lavatory soon. But there would be no public lavatories in a quarter like this. Then the spasm passed, leaving a dull ache behind. The street was a blind alley. Winston halted, stood for several seconds wondering vaguely what to do, then turned around and began to retrace his steps. As he turned, it occurred to him that the girl had only passed him 3 minutes ago, and that by running he could probably catch up with her. He could keep on her track till he went to some quiet place, and then smash her skull in with a cobblestone. The piece of glass in his pocket would be heavy enough for the job. But he abandoned the idea immediately, because even the thought of making any physical effort was unbearable. He could not run. He could not strike a blow. Besides, she was young and lusty and would defend herself. He thought also of hurrying to the community centre and staying there till the place closed, so as to establish a partial alibi for the evening. But that too was impossible. A deadly lassitude had taken hold of him. All he wanted was to get home quickly, then to sit down and be quiet. It was after 22 hours when he got back to the flat. The lights would be switched off at the main at 23:30. He went to the kitchen and swallowed nearly a teacupful of Victory gin. Then he went to the table in the alcove, sat down, and took the diary out of the drawer. But he did not open it at once. From the telescreen a brassy female voice was squalling a patriotic song. He sat staring at the marbled cover of the book, trying without success to shut the voice out of his consciousness. It was at night that they came for you. Always at night. The proper thing was to kill yourself before they got you. Undoubtedly, some people did so. Many of the disappearances were actually suicides. But it needed desperate courage to kill yourself in a world where firearms, or any quick and certain poison, are completely unprocurable. He thought with a kind of astonishment of the biological uselessness of pain and fear, the treachery of the human body which always freezes into inertia at exactly the moment when a special effort is needed. He might have silenced the dark-haired girl, if only he had acted quickly enough, but precisely because of the extremity of his danger, he had lost the power to act. It struck him that in moments of crisis, one is never fighting against an external enemy, but always against one's own body. Even now, in spite of the gin, the dull ache in his belly made consecutive thought impossible. And it is the same, he perceived, in all seemingly heroic or tragic situations. On the battlefield, in the torture chamber, on a sinking ship, the issues that you are fighting for are always forgotten, because the body swells up until it fills the universe. And even when you are not paralyzed by fright or screaming with pain, life is a moment-to-moment struggle against hunger or cold or sleeplessness, against a sour stomach or an aching tooth. He opened the diary. It was important to write something down. The woman on the telescreen had started a new song. Her voice seemed to stick into his brain like jagged splinters of glass. He tried to think of O'Brien, for whom or to whom the diary was written. But instead he began thinking of the things that would happen to him after the thought police took him away. It would not matter if they killed you at once. To be killed was what you expected. But before death, nobody spoke of such things, yet everybody knew of them. There was the routine of confession that had to be gone through, the grovelling on the floor and the screaming for mercy, the crack of broken bones, the smashed teeth and bloody blots of hair. Why did you have to endure it, since the end was always the same? Why was it impossible? Why was it not possible to cut a few days or weeks out of your life? Nobody ever escaped detention. Nobody ever failed to confess. When once you had succumbed to thought crime, it was a given that by a given date you would be dead. Why then did that horror, which altered nothing, have to lie embedded in future time? He tried with a little more success than before to summon up the image of O'Brien. "We shall meet in a place where there is no darkness," O'Brien had said to him. He knew what it meant, or he thought he knew. The place where there is no darkness was the imagined future, which one would never see, but which, by foreknowledge, one could mystically share in. But with the voice from the telescreen nagging at his ears, he could not follow the train of thought further. He put a cigarette in his mouth. Half the tobacco promptly fell out onto his tongue, a bit of dust which was difficult to spit out again. The face of Big Brother swam into his mind, displacing that of O'Brien. Just as he had done a few days earlier, He slid a coin out of his pocket and looked at it. The face gazed up at him, heavy, calm, protecting. But what kind of smile was hidden beneath the dark moustache? Like a leaden nail, the words came back to him. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. That was a long chapter. That was a really long... Wow. Okay. Hi. Hello, Pluvium. The second half of life is in there. Dark Souls boss music? Yeah, no, there was a very intense piece of music in the middle of that. I was like, huh, okay, this is something. Yeah, that was pretty brutal. That was a lot. There was the bomb, there was his description of wanting to murder the woman, there was a very realistic depiction of what it's like talking to someone that isn't exactly on the same wavelength as you. Although, now I hate Winston more, because if he had kept talking to that old man, he would have got the answers. He just wasn't willing to, like, pass the information he was receiving from the old man. But no, that was a very interesting chapter. And that was the ending to part 1 of 1984. That is part 1 over. So now I'm gonna have to consider whether I actually want to split the, you know how I've got like one video for the entirety of the Traveling Cat Chronicles. I'm gonna think about whether I'm gonna divide 1984 into 3 parts, or whether I should just make that one big video again. We're in the pace of a part per year. When did I start 1984? Hold on, I'm gonna check. I'm curious now. Whoa, I'm live? Yo, it's crazy, guys. Purity Valentine's live 7 months ago. It's been 7 months, so yeah, we should finish in 2025. God, okay, no, I will. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to get better. Valentine's, I got it. Yeah, don't worry, I understand. You gotta watch Yoshi, you know. No, I want to. I think I'm gonna try being more consistent with YouTube streams. My brainworms are getting me really bad for my Twitch streams especially, but I think my YouTube streams should be... The main thing that gets in the way of my YouTube streams is the fact that my sleep schedule is just all over the goddamn place. I'm not necessarily awake at this time. And when I am, it's like weirdly always not on a Thursday night. Like the one night where I'm like, yeah, I want to be awake at 2 AM so I can do my reading stream. I'm like, honk shoe, me peeled. What you can handle, you know? I know. I will do my best. Despite everything, I will do my best. I'll support the ASMR arc. I mean, I know that most people do like ASMR differently. Like they do like the like immersive ear cleaning and stuff like that. But I like the way that I do my ASMRs. To me, this is more the optimal comfy experience, even if I'm reading a book about a terrible reality and bombs landing on people's houses. which does actually confirm. I actually was skeptical. I remember at the start of the book, I was skeptical to whether the war was even real. And while it's not been proven that the war is real, we do now have proof that like there is bombing. But it could just be bombing ourselves. Like it literally could just be, yeah, we're just gonna throw bombs at the proles. Rip lol. You know, just to cement the illusion that we're at war. But it's at least somewhat closer. So I went to I went outside with my mum. Sorry, I'm grabbing something. Even though you guys can't see, I'm grabbing something. I went outside with my mum like 2 weeks ago, and I went to a store called W.H. Smith, which sells like a lot of stationery and stuff, and they had these like pastel highlighters on sale. So I actually now have a set of highlighters that I can go through the book again and kind of like do that highlighting thing I wanted to do, because I wanted to go through and highlight everything that happens during the actual book and is like confirmed like by the third person like narrator as something that happens, things that are remembered, things that are told to us, and things that are just Winston being delusional. Never seen a bit. I only started seeing them a few years ago. Like obviously it always used to be fluorescent, like fluorescent yellow, orange, green, pink. And now for the last couple of years I've seen like these pastel ones. So I now have a set of yellow, blue, pink, orange pastels. They're still like chisel tip. I don't really like chisel tip highlighters because I used to have to use them in school, obviously. But the thing that's really nice about the ones I got is that they're actually, you know how a lot of highlighters are really like short, chunky highlighters? Like they're just little squares. Hold on, actually, highlighters. Not hair highlighters, I mean like little... Yeah, these ones. Please be a... Oh, it's a WebP. Wait, no, actually I think VTube Studio can handle WebPs now. Yeah, these were the highlighters I always used to have in school. And they're very short, they're very chunky, they're kind of hard to hold. But these ones I got are actually shaped like normal pens, so they should be nicer. But yeah, the sound they make, the feeling of the texture of of highlighters is normally pretty bad, but I'm hoping these ones will be nicer because they're not this style. Do I actually? No, there's none. The ones that I bought aren't on Google. Hop. So yeah, I might do that once I have my crafting desk, because right now the reason I haven't done any streams with like my camera is because I haven't got any desk space. My desk is literally like full to the brim. I have no space. My mouse, to use my mouse I actually have to put it on top of my tablet. That's how little room I have on my desk right now. So, but once I get my crafting desk and I have a dedicated stream space, I can start doing stuff again, and that'll be nice. And I just need to get over my Monera first. God, not necessarily all of it, but one day own home. I think that's a very long way away for me, but I guess. Technically one day. I don't even mind the prospect of the fact that I live with family, but the fact that my room is just... It's not really built for the capabilities that I would like to get out of it is unfortunate for me. But you know, we make do with what we have, and I'm grateful for what I have, so Could also make the streamer house with space and Havoc. I mean, technically Havoc... Technically there is a streamer house now. It's just in America, and I'm not moving to America. I don't know. The problem is I don't think I would live very well with like other people. Like I'm very like even around my own family, like if I start going down the stairs and I hear like my granddad coming up the stairs, I will like turn around and just go completely back up the stairs up into my room and wait until he's done moving about and has settled. So that Havoc and Dan Law, yeah, Law is the other one. Yeah, so all members of Sierra Lane in there. You'd think that would mean that they stream more, but no. Puri. Okay, I accept that Puri ... Me running from my own family in their own house and my own house is cringe. But I have no defense. I can't defend myself. There's nothing to say. Oh jeez, I just like stretched and felt my shoulders crack. Ew, that was not a nice sensation. You gotta consider starving the brainworm. I have too many thoughts. I'm thinking all the time. I just can't stop. The only time I stop thinking is when I get so stressed and overwhelmed that literally, like, I blue screen. It's brainworms. The question, actually, maybe that's what the question mark is. Maybe all along, the cat question mark has been just brainworms. I'm made of brainworms. It's brainworms all the way down. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do about my Manhara regarding my normal streams on Twitch. And like, I've come to the conclusion that I'm an unreasonable person that doesn't do logical things that would literally help me if it may be to a detriment to even one other person, or even benefit like a vast majority. I still have a hard time doing it. There's an indie RPG called Winter Voices where all your skill trees are different Manhara, what? And then this one has a blue screen of death where you just become so disaffected. Our enemies stop targeting you? Wow. Hold on, is it up? What platform is that on? I'm curious now. And it's free now? You'd like it? Winter Voices. Mixed reviews. Narrative-driven, episodic, role-playing game. 24-year-old heroine as she deals with the death of her father. Point-and-click real-time game with strictly defensive turn-based combat. Disdain in that voice? Wait, did I have disdain in my voice? Sorry. From builds like going the delusion route and having your imaginary friends carry you, the disaffected route I went where you become numb to emotions, become a tank. Wow, the most helpful review says Winter Voices was one of those odd games that you play and don't actually have any fun doing so. Interesting. might take a look at it. I probably won't. It's probably not a game I would play on stream, but I will take a look at it. Is it a Souls game? No, it's a point and click defensive turn-based RPG game. By the looks of it. But yeah, I'll take a proper look into that later. Why would it be a Souls game? Souls games are enough psychological torture on their own. Oh, actually, that reminds me of a game. Have any of you ever played or would recommend, is it Hellblade? Yeah, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice. That's apparently about, like, the girl's mental health stuff, right? Warrior's brutal journey into myth and madness. And it's made by the same people who made DMC Devil May Cry. And while I don't like DMC Devil May Cry because of the fact that it's Devil May Cry, it was a good, it is still a good game. I just wish it wasn't called Devil May Cry. But kind of sucky people like it. Wait, why am I getting dotted now? Don't play many games, it takes too much energy to learn a new one. Yeah. I feel that. I had a lot of... So when I finished my stream on Saturday, I had a little bit of a Manhara spiral afterwards. And then I was like, I'll play a game to distract myself. And then just spent literally so long just scrolling through my Steam, going, I don't think I've got the brain power to learn any of these games anymore. I need to, but I don't want to. Like, I ended up just kind of being spaced out. The MC remake is actually a good game. I like it if it wasn't Devil May Cry. If all of them had been completely divorced from the concept of Devil May Cry, like the actual gameplay of the game is pretty good. It's just dumb because it's not Devil May Cry, so stop calling it that. Hellblade is that, but it's actually a walking sim with mid-combat. See, you say that, but people said that Death Stranding was a walking sim, and I really loved Death Stranding. It's like one of my favourite games, so... Still haven't played Voodoo Vince right now. I haven't played Voodoo Vince. Someone's classic Xbox, GameCube, PS2 era platformer Kino. Platformers kill me. Platformers kill me. Monster Girl Island is a walking sim, and wait, huh? Wait, wait, what's Monster Girl Island? Do I want to know? Death Stranding is a walking sim, literally, not a walking sim genre. Voodoo Wince isn't hard at Spyro tier? Okay, I mean I managed to finish Spyro eventually, so... The thing is, right, okay. Apologies if this ends up feeling a little bit like me, just like Manhara blaring all over the place. Like, one of the things that gets me about playing games on stream is that this feels really stupid to actually put into words. Okay, so, obviously I play games on stream. That is the thing that happens. Tee-hee, Purity never finishes any games. Tee-hee-hee. It's funny. But at the same time, it kind of bugs me that I never really, like, finish any games. But then also, it feels like I can't really sit down and just binge an entire game and like be like, okay, right, every single stream is gonna be this game until I finish it, because then people are gonna be like, well, like if people don't like that particular game, then they're gonna be like, well, now I can't watch Purity until they finish this game, or if someone tries to come on in part way and they don't know what's going on, so I'm like, 90% of streamers don't finish games. I know, but sometimes like I really like. The thing is that I also then I don't start playing games because I feel like I won't finish them. There's like a lot of games that I've looked at and been like, I could play that on stream. The thing is, I'm never gonna make any significant progress. Like Final Fantasy VII, I have the original. Thank you, Liv. I've got. What else have I got? Persona 3. That's another one that like I could play, but I will like feel like I'm never gonna finish it. All the Amnesia games, although they're also horror games, so obviously that's another reason I don't play those. Any kind of visual novel definitely fits under that category. So I'm scrolling right now. Mass Effects, because I have those. Nier Replicant, I really want to play. Like I loved Nier Automata. Although I do want to play Nier Gestalt more than I want to play Nier Replicant, but I have Nier Replicant, the new one, so like I could feasibly just play that anytime, but I don't because I just feel like starting it would be weird. I don't know. Feels like it has you checkmated. It does. I'm trapped in a loop of overthinking, and I can't. It probably seems like so stupid and obvious, like if you want to play it, just play it, five-head, dummy, but for some reason my brain is just like, whoa. Sorry, my phone just died. It scared me. Is it overthinking? Is it? Is it not overthinking? I thought it was overthinking. Is it not? Also, yeah, I can believe that 90% of people don't. Hey, Pluvium, don't. No. Okay, this is another thing I'm just gonna bring up very briefly because this is kind of bothering me in my normal streams. Can we stop skirting the lines of saying like controversial things, please? I don't know how to like properly deal with it. Just use. Can we use nicer words? I don't want to be like word police. No? No, I'm actually... No, I'm serious. It's actually been bothering me kind of a lot recently. I don't like to be serious about these kind of things, but I also... If you can try, I would approve. Yeah, I'll take it. I understand that like sometimes mistakes happen. I understand, 100%. But no, Hugs. It wasn't. It's something that's been bothering me for longer than that, and that's why my blacklist on Twitch keeps on getting longer and longer, and the words that you can say keeps on reducing. I know that sometimes the words that people use, that like it's what you're used to and stuff like that. If people can make, you're not, also Pluvium, you're not the only one, so don't feel like I'm singling you out. But just, I want things to be comfy. Okay, I will blame Gale. I will. He's a bad influence. I also... You bring up this like a better housewife to this? No, it's not. No, that's not the feel, that's not the vibe. That's not the vibe that you should be getting from this. This is... Stand up for yourself. That's not the vibe I'm trying to go for. I just want things to be... I want... Okay. I just want things to look palatable from... that's not the right way to put it. I don't know how to put the way that I wanna word things. That's the main thing I have trouble with, words. Well, me speaks for a living, words hard. But no. If you can make your best effort to not say controversial skimming the line things or straight up like over the line things, that is already a good thing that I would appreciate, and that goes. I probably need to say this on my Twitch stream at some point as well, when, you know, the majority of the people are actually there. Because that's the other thing, right? I feel like on that last stream I made a comment where I just said like, "Whoa, everyone be nice," and then like people responded like, oh, "Okay, I'll be nice." It's like, well, you already like, it's like those aren't the people. Okay, I'm fine. Sorry, I'm in her. I'm going crazy. Sorry, I'm trying. I need to keep myself in check. I need to keep my Menhera in check. I need to keep... We should probably finish for the night. we should probably finish for the night. We switched to you and not you right now. Thank you. Hugs with the Overwatch reference. This is the gamer translation of what I said. Thank you. For all gamers in chat. No. I'm sorry. I don't want to be like... The problem is, right, I don't actually like having rules. That sounds stupid. And because I just think that people should be nice. I am worried I'm gonna have to put my foot down at some point. Acceptance too. No, it's fine. I mean, listen. You might mean me, don't worry. Here's the thing, right? As individuals, I don't really have like any strong issues with anyone. It's just when you get like a lot of like conflicting personality types in one place that I feel like is the thing with streams. Because obviously it's a chat that there are like multiple people partaking in at once. I don't care if you use if you want to use bad words in your friend DMs, go for it. That's none of my business. But I want my Twitch and here, but here is always comfy. I just want my Twitch streams to be a nice place. And yeah. I mean, they are a nice place. I don't hate streaming on Twitch. I'm not like, I don't start stream and I'm like, oh god, it's gonna be awful today. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Like I'm never like that. And don't get the idea that I'm ever like that. Because at the end of the day, I also have like a place of responsibility for what happens in Twitch chat. If I really wanted something to stop, I have the power to do that. Whether I have the will to do that is a bit of a different matter, but I have the power to do it. Everyone hates streaming on Twitch. Well, you're not a Twitch streamer, so feel free to hate streaming on Twitch. But yeah, I don't know. I've been worried about a lot of things recently. This is just a couple of them. My brain is full of worms right now, and obviously I'm not gonna unleash them. You guys are not. You guys do not be here to be like, wow, purity issues corner. Although I do appreciate you guys listening when I do go on these kind of tangents. Do you like He-Man? I wish I had a cool sword, a big tiger, and an evil villain that I could defeat. I should have a villain. I need a villain. Oh wait, I already defeated my villain. I defeated my old ISP. I already did it. I've won. You volunteer. Why? SMH. But yeah, no. Sorry for going on a little bit of a negative tangent subject kind of thing. My apologies. And my apologies if I worried anyone. I know I've been kind of silent on Twitter, but if you've seen me elsewhere, thank you. Thank you for tolerating me being a little bit less stable. Being an auntie and a fan is one of the same, so say the 4 viewers. I don't think that's true. I think you can be nice and enjoy things. You can be critical of them, but you know there's this really powerful thing you can do when you're critical of things, and that is that you can not share them in the same space as where the enjoyers are. You know, it used to be a big bit of discourse on Tumblr, actually. It used to be like, oh, it used to be mainly fucking Steven Universe. On Tumblr, it used to be if you've got something bad, if you're like a Steven Universe crit, if you hate it, just don't put it in the tag, because that's where the people that like the show look. So yeah, if you hate something, just put it somewhere that isn't where the fans look, aka my chat is not the place. When Puri freaks out on Tumblr, either a VTuber graduated or they have brainworms. 99% of the time it's brainworms. Subtweeting me? How am I subtweeting you? How did I subtweet you this time? Being a hater is just my personality, and that's okay. You're allowed to be a hater, but can you be a hater slightly more quietly? No. Why are you such a contrarian? Why? Who made you this way? Who did this? Puri never understand me. 0% understand me the past 2 days. I'm sorry, it's the brainworms. It's literally, they're making me hard. It makes me it makes it harder for me to understand things. My apologies. Hater yes, contrarian no. It does no, because a lot of the time it just feels like you have the opposite opinion to everyone else, which is a bit contrarian. Shut up, that was a misspeak. You weren't meant to catch that. Shut up. God's sake. But yeah, no. Streaming! Because I'm being less controversial. Oh, for God's sake. Thanks for your consideration. I cut off. I didn't even finish like the sound of the word. You did. Everyone listening with their ears. That's what people need to do. Anyway. Sorry for whining. Oh god, my arms are sorry. If I look up, then you can see that my hands are like dislocated from my body. It's not whining, is it not? It feels a little bit like whining. I miss streaming as much as I used to. I hope I can get over all these stupid little overthinky brain worms and anxiety and start doing more stuff. And be, most importantly, I want to be deserving of the fact that so many people follow me and support me, because sometimes I don't feel like I do enough to like show my appreciation for the fact that people are still here after 3.5 years. If anything, you kind of backpedaled, did I? Sorry. Interesting, because it was zero space in the most polite, dare I say, skittish way imaginable. Did I backpedal? Ah! Sorry, my brain isn't in like a coherent order. So if things are all over the place, that's the reason why. But yeah. No, I still think I think you can still call even a legitimate conversation a legitimate complaint. I think you can still call that whining. I think I can still call it that. That's my right as a British person. We are specifically genetically suited to being really good at whining and complaining. It is our heritage. Anyway, I should finish stream. And then think about everything I said during this stream, regret everything I said during this stream, lay my head in my pillow, make another set of notes on my phone that are completely incoherent at like 11 AM, and yeah. Just kidding, that probably will not happen. I will probably overthink some of the things I said this stream and think if they were like the right way for me to word things, but this is a problem for future purity. And actually I'm kind of hoping I can get back to sleep. Can I ask you something real quick? Yes. You can ask me something kind of slow as well, but yeah. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I should be serious. Sorry, I was getting bothered by my... Don't overthink about how much you're gonna overthink, never mind. Okay. And if you still... I mean, you can send me your question at any point. Feel free. Yeah, I'm not gonna overthink about how much I'm gonna overthink. I'm not gonna... I'm still above that point. Who would win in a fight? Between who? Chick Cat or Insomniac? Insomniac, because the Chick Cat doesn't have any arms. Like, the Insomniac is, like, has an advantage by having hands and tools. Meanwhile, the Chick Cat can just kind of roll and jump. Please change it to Insomnicat. I like Insomnicat, but... Well, the thing is, the other problem is that Insomniac is already on the cards. Insomniac is already, like, technically official now. Actually, you don't care? Are you just taking part in a battle you don't actually have any stake in? He was defenseless when Insomniac came with a knife. A lot of us would be defenseless if Insomniac came with a knife. Do I still have the drawing of when I was like drafting up the Insomniac? Wow, Valentine, you've come at the very end. Hi. Hold on, I'm trying to find my sketches for my mascot. Ah, there it is. Oh no, that doesn't have the name suggestions. They were ending 40 minutes ago, you're good. I really did like Parishioners as well. Parishioners... Insomniac was my favourite, but Parishioners was definitely like up there. I think what would have made Parishioners better if I was actually capable of rolling my R's. If I could do like Parishioners like that, I feel like that would have been better. But because I can't roll my R's because I have a dead tongue. I'm still a Parishioner fan, but Insomniac is just, what if Insomniac was a good name? What do you mean, what if Insomniac was a good... I think Insomniac is a good name. Is it not? Also, I forgot some of these, like, writing points I made when I was designing the Insomniac. Cat aligned. Plush/cozy. Devil wing, angel wing. Hoodie? There's no hoodie on it. Cult? How do you draw cult? How do you draw a cult? That wasn't... Huh? Puntable? Yeah, I think the Insomniac still ended up fairly puntable. Like the pistol? No, like a cult. Like a secret cult. Like a horse? Are you thinking of a cult? No, C-U-L-T. This is one of the times you're being so British. Yeah, sorry. Sorry for being British, it will happen again. Like, yeah, just like that. And then, like, I had another point which was just a drawing of, like a pumpkin-style mouth. Like, you know, with, like, the odd pointed and flat teeth. Might still make that an option if I ever do get around to making that picture I wanted to make. It's one of your many charms, my being British and my British accent. I'm still very happy at the end of the day about my pronunciation of torches. Torches? Torches. I'm very glad that it turned out that the way I'm saying it is more like an actual torch and not like the act of dismembering slowly, among other things. Anyway, I should actually finish this time. Stop being good conversation. Sorry, I stretched again. That's how you know I'm not supposed to be awake. My body's like, whoa, what am I doing? What am I doing here? Who am I? Where am I? I don't know if Numbers is still live. Go watch Numbers if Numbers is still live. Who's live? Whoa! Oh. Oh, I'm sorry, Twitch name. Sorry. I just saw your messages. My apologies. Sorry, Twitch name, for you're being shadow banned on everything. Good grief. I hope you escape Shadowban prison soon. But thank you actually for your messages. But you live in a hedge? But yeah, who's live? Yeah, Numbers is live. Charlotte is live. Hal is live. Corpse is live. Oh, that VTuber person. You know, the one that I was drawing, the yellow bee, they're live. They just appeared at the bottom of my Purity Valentine viewers also watch. So yeah. We will call it there for tonight, and I will sit and ruminate and think about everything I've said. It's a safe place to You hope? Okay, well, good luck. Have you met Mugtuber? I have not. I don't know a Mugtuber. What am I doing? Good up here. I'll be still awake. I'll still be awake if anyone wants to talk in my direction. I'll be around. But yeah. Have a good night, everyone. Get some sleep. Get something to drink. Get something to eat. If you have work tomorrow, best of luck. Survive. I believe in you. Monday. Get through it. Gambatte. But yeah. Until I see you guys again. Onyasumi. Good night.